This computer. Another version of the SAC Digital Media Day. We got the Wingate head coach, Rashaan Jordan, here to talk some Wingate Bulldog football. Coach, I appreciate you taking some time today.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
So, first year head coach, but spent plenty of time at Wingate. What's it been, I guess, just like sliding over one seat to the left?
Well, it's been interesting. I mean, Joe and I have been working together probably almost 30 years now. You know, when I first got started as a young fella, he was the D-line coach at University of Buffalo, and we established a relationship that's been long lasting for a while. So to slide in his chair and be in his spot that he's held for 23 years has definitely been a change. It took me about a week or so before I felt comfortable sitting in the chair here. So, but it's been great. You know, when I first spoke to the team and and have spoken to some other individuals, I said, listen, although this is a new beginning, it is a continuation. You know, I've been here long enough that I was a part of the building process here, part of how we created the culture here. So, although Joe and I have different personalities, we believe in the same thing. So it's been pretty easy from that standpoint. If you're talking about getting your first head coaching experience, this was a great blessing and an opportunity for me to take a chance at a place that, I helped build and understand how the place works and what's made us successful.
Well, honestly, if you think Wingate football, especially in the recent years, you think defense, and the architect of that defense was yourself. So, just looking back at the numbers, you only allowed 14 points per game last year. That was sixth in the nation. The year before, when you made the run to the regional final, you allowed 12 points per game, which ranked third in the nation. What did you have doing so well that nobody could score on you?
Hey, it's like Kirby Smart said, it's the players. I mean, you got to have the guys. I mean, it is, no amount of schemes are going to beat, great football players. And we've been very blessed to have some great athletes here, guys who have put in a lot of hard work, who have a lot of passion for their job and their skill. So, and then the continuity of the coaching staff that I've had as well. I mean, that's one of the difficult things at Division II is that, we're not millionaires here. So not everybody's getting paid to be somewhere for a long period of time. And our success here has been a lot, predicated a lot on just having the same coaching staff around so that the continuity of scheme and the way I think and the things that I want to get done, these guys understand it. A lot of times, they already know what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking about when they see something on film. And so it's been fairly easy that way over the years of being able to make adjustments and get our athletes in the right situations to make plays for us. And again, the stats from our guys have been unbelievable. I mean, to look at what Marquise Fleming was able to do, and DJ Horn in the past, and a bunch of names that you could bring up. It's just been tremendous just to sit there and watch those guys go out there and execute. And most of the time, I don't really focus on what the stats are. I'm just trying to figure out how to get the W at the end of the day. And then when you hear at the end, it's those with the numbers where you're like, wow, these kids were great. They were unbelievable.
You brought up a name, and I obviously wanted to hit on the returning defensive player of the year, Marquise Fleming. I mean, a year ago, nobody was talking about this guy, and then he just burst onto the scene with an absolute monster year. What do you attribute that to?
He's been that guy for us all, since he's been here. It was a growing process for him. Again, he played alongside some actually really good football players. I mean, the year before that, DJ Horn was conference defensive end player of the year, All-American. So he was, somewhat overlooked maybe from a media standpoint, I think. And, conference wise, everybody kind of knew what he brought to the table. So I think this is just more so about, it's being his time, his due from a media attention standpoint, as opposed to him just all of a sudden just becoming a different player. He's been there the whole time, and he's just now taking advantage of all of his opportunities.
And he's not a one-man show on the D line either. You got a couple guys that are beasts around him. You got Daniel Morrison, you got Brian Bordeaux. You talked about Horn, I think Cardell Rawlings. Like, you guys just churn out defensive line talent year after year. Talk about those guys and maybe what makes you so successful along the field.
Well, I think, obviously our D-line coach, Travis Knight, does a tremendous job with those guys. I mean, he has been here for all of those guys, going all the way back to Ray Edwards in the early years of the 14, who was another defensive conference defensive end player of the year candidate. and he just does a tremendous job of teaching FBI. I think, when you look at us defensively, we're not super complicated in terms of like the X's and O's pieces of it. I think what we do a tremendous job with is finding sneaky ways to take advantage of things that are maybe not obvious from the stands, but also those guys' intelligence. They understand the game. There's more than just blocking dummies for us. Like, we look for those guys to be playmakers for us. They're not just there to clean up for the linebackers. We expect them to be an extension of what we're doing on the defense in terms of tackles for loss and sacks, and those are the key components. And then obviously, going out and identifying those athletes when we recruit and saying, okay, we think this fits. We're looking for playmaking, athletic guys, and those guys have really learned and matured from the guys previous to them. And it's just been like a learning process. You come in, you sit around for a couple of years, you watch the guys who have been successful in front of you, and you kind of froth at the mouth a little bit, waiting for your chance. And then when you get out there, then you go out and you execute as well. So it's a great process. And you think about NFL football, right? You got to have pass rushers, you got to have the up front guys to be successful, and you got to be good on the edges. And so, we've kind of adopted that philosophy. And when you got those parts going well, if you can fill in, some of the other spots, and those guys are playing at a high level, then you get some of this, some of the production that we've been able to get.
Not to leave off Dontorian Best, your second leading tackler, also returning linebacker, all conference player. A lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Now, we got Jaquan Edwards, who's coming back, who, when we made the run a couple of years ago in the playoffs, was a crucial part of what we did. And exciting linebackers that's been around for a while. He'll be able to come back this year. So I feel like, we have two great linebackers, and we got some really good special guys behind those guys waiting in the wings to help out. Obviously we lost some key guys in the secondary this year, but I think we've replaced those guys with some young talent that just to need some experience, and obviously with the D-line up front, hopefully they'll help them out a little bit.
So that the defense helps make your offense good by, 3 and outs, getting them back on the field, maybe getting some turnovers in the offensive side of the field. Let's talk a little bit about the offensive side, and you have some studs up front. Again, as always, that's kind of a Wingate staple. The offensive line really controls it. You got Acosta and Blake Martin in front of a true freshman quarterback last year who was unbelievable. And Brooks Bentley, 13 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. You don't see that much from a freshman quarterback who kind of had the reins in and out a little bit, but you guys trusted him a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited about our offense. I think, obviously with having Brooks coming back for a second year, he'll be more experienced and be, much more in control of the offense in terms of how to get us in and out of bad situations. I like what we have, the receiving core coming back. It's a young core of guys that are going to be out there this year. Evan McCray is probably going to be the leader of that group in certain respects. We have some good tight ends that that are coming along. So we had some young guys that, hadn't had a chance to really operate, play. So they're kind of a little under the radar right now. But this is going to be their time to shine. Of course, the guys up front that, they're the lifeline of any offense, right? And they do a great job for us, opening up holes and creating space for our running backs to get yardage for us and protect Brooks. So I think we have a really good chance of being very productive this year offensively.
And you guys are going to come into the league number 2 in the preseason poll. Just behind Lenore Ryan as the favorite. You guys are no stranger to the top of the standings. As your first year as your head coach, what's it feel like to go into a season with kind of those expectations, I guess, or thoughts of how your program looks?
Well, it's not definitely a great honor to at least be, putting that, that perspective by the other coaches in the league, that they respect what our guys have done over the year. But at the end of the day, you still got to show up. You got to play every one of the 11 games. You got to go out there and execute at a high level. I tell people all the time, I think the South Atlantic Conference is one of the most competitive conferences in the Division II level. You just cannot show up any week and not give your best effort. Anybody can be beaten at any point in time. We've dealt with that over the last few years of losing games that people expected us to win. And so the message to those guys and the feeling that I have for myself is just never be complacent, never take anything for granted. Make sure you're going out and preparing as hard as you can as a coaching staff, and imparting that to the guys on the team, is that, every week's going to be a dog fight, and preseason rankings are just for, the families to smile and have a good time with. But at the end of the day, you want the postseason ranks and more than you need than the preseason stuff. So, but it's a nice honor for the kids for their previous work.
And you guys kick off. You have an interesting non-conference slate. You got UNC Pembroke to start on the road, and then you got a Delta State team that's been really, really good the past couple of years and has a real strong tradition to lead into SAC play. What does that non-conference portion look like from the coaching staff, I guess?
Yeah, well, it probably wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done. It's one of those things where, the kids laughed at me when I told them the schedule. They said, "Coach, you want that smoke?" I said, "Well, we're gonna have to." No, those are those two great programs. UNCP is obviously on the upswing and, won a number of games last year, and Delta State speaks for itself. So I think they're excited for the challenge. I think that's the thing with playing college football is that you want to go out there and compete against the best talent possible. And they're excited to see where they fit in this whole system. It's obviously one of those things where you go out there and you measure yourself with those games and see what we have to bring to the table, and we just hope to go out there and perform at a high level. But it's definitely going to be a difficult first couple of games for sure, and that's not counting the rest of the SAC.
Yeah, exactly. Then you get into conference play from there, so it gets no easier for you
It's
all.
a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet.
What's that going to feel for you? Is it much different to like take the field against UNC Pembroke being the head guy, or is it just going to be kind of business as usual? You're used to D2 football at this point.
Well, I think it's definitely going to be different. I mean, to be in charge of the whole thing, I'm not going to try to pretend like, well, I've been doing this for 30 something years and this is not going to be a special moment. I mean, my family will be there. They're going to be excited for the opportunity. I'm excited for the opportunity. I think a lot of the kids are excited for me because I've been here for the opportunity. So it's going to be a special moment to go out there. I think there's a lot of little things that I'm going to rely on Joe in preparation, in terms of, hey, okay, first game. Hey, what do I need to think about? What do you talk with the officials about? There's little things that you don't really concern yourself with when you're coordinating because you're just focused on that side of the ball. But I think it's definitely going to be one of those experiences that I'll hold on to for the rest of my life for sure.
And you just brought it up, but you have a great guy to lean on. Coach Reich, now the athletic director, coached at Wingate for 20 plus years, is one of the winningest coaches in the league history. How has that transition been for you, and how helpful has he been?
Oh, tremendous. I think I used to, as a coordinator, I talked to him a lot. And a lot of times, we wouldn't even really need defensive meetings because I would go in and speak with him throughout the week for the whole process. And, even now it's like, I'm not leaving any stones unturned, as a first time rookie head coach. Something comes up, I'm calling, I'm asking, I use the village, right? Use the resources that have been given to you. I don't need to reinvent the wheel, when you got a guy that's been that successful sitting, on the other side of campus that you can sit back and talk to and run things by. So it's been awesome. Like I said, I'm very blessed to be in a situation. There's a lot of coaches right now going all the way up to the NFL right now that are replacing quote unquote legends, and some of them don't have that guy in the building or on campus to lean on to. So when I, look at my situation, I said, what a blessing to be able to go down there and speak with him. And again, he and his relationship with myself has been an ongoing thing for so many years that, he's a part of my family. So it's very easy to go down there and speak with him and pick his brain.
So when you maybe wrap up this season, that you look back on the 2024 year at Wingate, what would you define as a successful season?
Gosh, that's one of the things that, you want to see the guys compete. I mean, obviously internally, I'm not going to, in this setting, kind of throw numbers out there from that standpoint. But I think, this is a season of optimism for everybody. I think every team in the SAC right now is gunning for the same thing. We're all talking about winning SAC championships and what does that take and what does that, what does that actually mean? There's a lot of things that I want to see the guys do, competitively and productively with focus to details and competing every snap. And I think when you kind of approach it from that standpoint in the coach speak world, you can do those things at a high level. Then from week to week, the wins and the results should take care of themselves. So, again, not putting any numbers on it, but I do have a sense in my mind of obviously what I'd like to see this season look like for us. I think we got a really good, strong football team coming back, and I want it to perform at that level.
Well, there you go, Coach Rashaan Jordan, the head coach of Wingate. We really appreciate you taking some time today and talking, and wish you all the best of luck over there at Wingate.
Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate you having me on again. Thank you.
You're welcome.